Motion.
It's on. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Victor Abang. I represent the people of Ikom and Boki in Cross River State. I move this motion together with all the 7 or 8 honorable members from Cross River State as co-sponsors. The House notes that on October 10, 2002, the International Court of Justice ruled that the proprietorship of the Bakassi Peninsula belongs to Cameroon due to an agreement between the governments of Nigeria and Cameroon during the Civil War. Also notes that in July 2012, the Supreme Court ruled that the Cross River State had no right to ownership of over 76 oil wells due to the loss of its littoral status when portions of the peninsula were ceded to Cameroon by the federal government of Nigeria. The Apex Court stated that the Cross River State no longer had maritime territory and consequently could not claim offshore oil wells. Further notes that the ICJ ruling decides the retracing of the Cameroon-Nigeria international boundary line from the Lake Chad region, Yola, to the Atlantic Ocean, Bakassi. Subsequently, the United Nations set up 2 committees to implement the judgment, which led to the establishment of the Cameroonian-Nigerian Mixed Commission, made up of representatives from Nigeria and Cameroon and officials of the United Nations. Aware that the Nigerian delegation was led by the Attorney General of the Federation, while Cameroon was represented by the Deputy Prime Minister. Also aware that the field work, which involved the location of the boundary points and placement of boundary pillars by the judgment, was undertaken by a joint technical committee, a sub-body of the Cameroon-Nigerian Mixed Commission with both countries. Representative on the JTT, while technical expertise is supplied by a foreign contractor and paid by the CNMC. Cognizant that the field exercise or demarcation conducted by the JTT must be an adopted demarcation in any sector considered and valid conclusive by the CNMC. Also cognizant that according to the Anglo-German agreement of the Cameroon-Nigerian boundary of 12 April 1913, a total of 14 boundary pillars from the Lake Chad region, that is in Yola, Adamawa State, to Agbokom in a Tung local government of Cross River State, planted by the Anglo-German, have serial numbers written on the pillars. 6 of the boundary pillars fall within the Danare community in Boki local government of Cross River State. The international boundary includes pillar 109 to pillar 113A. Further notes that the Anglo-German treaty clearly states that the contextual pillar 113A is 9.6 kilometers from pillar 113 into the forest, leading to pillar 114 that fall in Agbokom in a Tung local government. I am worried that the JTT has not located pillar 113A and not tracing pillar 113A. They are planning to adopt a straight line method which will lead to losing Danare and Biada communities and about 7,000 to 10,000 hectares of land in Boki local government of Cross River State to the Republic of Cameroon. Also notes that the ICJ judgment adopted the Anglo-German boundary of 1913 as a boundary between the 2 countries. The job of the CMCC through the JTT, therefore, was to locate this boundary and reinforce it to certainty. Under the principles of federalism, natural justice, and equity, the federal government has a responsibility to protect the territorial integrity of all federating units and not unilaterally cede, sell, mortgage, or allocate any part of federating unit to another country without the consent of this House. We are worried that the lack of consent efforts by the JTT to trace a critical point that will determine the correct boundary line has generated controversy. It is a worrisome situation that even when the team understands they are lacking in the assignment because a critical pillar is yet to be retraced, instead of the team going back and doing the needful, they decided to propose a straight line projection to close the gap between pillar 113 and 114. Also worried that if urgent actions are not taken by the federal government, the entire country will lose the good people of Danare, Biajwa and Boki local government, and some parts of Obanliku, LG of Cross River State, to the Republic of Cameroon. Then concerned that the Cross River State may lose the good people of Danare and Biajwa communities in Boki LGA and the ancestral heritage of land that they have protected all their lives to the Republic of Cameroon against their wishes and desires. Also concerned that the Pincing Pillar 113A may have been deliberately removed by the Cameroonian government in their plot to take over the land and the people of Danare and Biajwa communities. That if a country like Nigeria keeps losing her people, lands, and natural and mineral resources to her neighboring countries, one day we may not have a place called Nigeria. Resolved to, 1, urge the Cameroon-Nigerian Mixed Commission to respect the Anglo-German Agreement of 1913 as adopted by the International Court of Justice by tracing and maintaining the original location of Pillar 113A in the forest. Invite the Director General of the National Boundary Commission and Surveyor General of the Federation to answer why Pillar 113A has not been found. Set up an ad hoc committee to investigate and assess the case of potential land encroachment by the Cameroonian government and consult with legal experts, land surveyors, and other relevant professionals to ensure a thorough understanding of the technical aspect involved in resolving this encroachment. I so move. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The pillar in question would have been inserted if not for the fact that the community has been of resistance to the people that were sent to install the pillars. They came there with soldiers to intimidate the communities, but our people came all out. Old men and women came out to resist them. So if urgent action is not taken, we may lose this territory to Cameroon in such a way that we lost Bakassi in a very painful way. So I urge my colleagues to support this motion so that we can preserve this territory in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, issue of territorial integrity are very sensitive and important issues, particularly to elected representative of the people. Of course, Mr. Speaker, it is expected of us to speak and defend the territorial integrity of this country. This motion is apt, and this motion is one among the best motions that Parliament should exhibit and display in an effort to defend the integrity of their own people, particularly when it comes to territory. Mr. Speaker, the issue of Cameroon and Nigeria has been debated in the four angles of the world to an extent that I was almost emotional when the mover of the motion made reference to how we lost Bakassi. We should not allow this kind of things to happen to our people as representative of the people. Nigerians are law-abiding citizens. We respected the judgment that took away part of Nigeria and donated to Cameroon. Mr. Speaker, it is high time particularly as the motion is making reference to Pillar 113, which is missing. We must speak for the people of this country to ensure that the right thing, as pronounced by the court at the international level, which the Nigerian government respected and comply with the judgment, should be done. We should not allow any further act of injustice to be meted on the people of this country in the name of smartness, intimidation. We are here to represent Nigerian people, and we should not allow any sovereign nation to encroach on Nigerian territorial integrity. I wish to submit finally, Mr. Speaker, and commend the mover of this motion and commend members representing the state for coming to the aid of the Nigerian people, and urge distinguished honorable members of the House of Representatives to speak in one voice to approve all the prayers put together by the mover of this motion, so that our people will know that they have representatives that can stand and speak for them at any point in time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Sagbama Kremo Federal Constituency is Zonkeme. I'm from Bayelsa State. Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Again, Mr. Speaker, this is a critical matter dealing with boundary, both internationally and locally. And I commend the movers, our colleagues from Cross River, that has drawn the attention of Parliament to Pillar 113A. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, what I'm trying to impugn is that this matter, some time ago during the Obasanjo administration, went through the International Court, also had gone through the Supreme Court. And so, it is a matter that we need to deal with caution so that we get it right. Pillar 113A has again been impounded or seized or confiscated Nigeria's land by Cameroon, forcefully, as the motion says. Mr. Speaker, it is important that we make it an investigation rather than debating it. We make it an investigation rather than debating it, so that we can get the right facts and ensure that we are on the right side of history while dealing with this matter. And therefore, I want to urge Mr. Speaker and my colleagues to welcome this motion in its entirety, but let's limit ourselves to ensuring that investigation is carried out by the ad hoc committee, where necessary, even the Surveyor General and the Boundary Commission is also invited to give us an insight into this issue of Pillar 113A. And in the issue of prayers, I think that foreign affairs need to be part of the prayers.
Good, honorable member, you know, your debate
Thank you, Mr. Speaker,
is going into the amendment. Let's have all the debates and then possibly give opportunity for amendment. If the agreement that was adopted by the ICJ entails tracing this pillar number from 113 down to 114, it should be complied with. The question is that Pillar 113A is missing. And you know how important it is that the instrument of measurement of a territorial space, which one of them happens to be the pillar, if it is missing or shifted, it means there is an intention to deny justice to those who are supposed to be rightful owners of the territory. So we'll take at least 2 more debates on this before putting the question, and as well receiving amendments to this. I would like another gentleman from that area.
Mr. Speaker, this issue that has been brought up here today by my colleague from Boki is very timely and is an emotional one for me. Mr. Speaker, you can all remember some time ago, Bakassi was ceded to Cameroon. And some of us knew that an injustice to one is an injustice to all. That same ruling today is about to take some part of our state and our country, Boki, up to the ranch, the Obodukati ranch in Obanliku, will be consumed by this same law. Mr. Speaker, I want to give you a little history because as a historian, a man
make it brief. You know, it's an investigative motion.
Yes, I'll make it.
We are not even supposed to debate so much on it, but I just wanted you to owe your view, one or two persons, and then we move ahead. So don't give us too much history. A little background is fine.
Okay.
The motion is well detailed if you read it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the motion is well detailed, as you rightly said, but there are other things behind it that some of us from Bakassi are not comfortable with. Today, in Cross River State, Bakassi is placed on a security check. There's a curfew from 6 till 7 a.m. in the morning because of the negligence of the state of Nigeria on Bakassi. We are still suffering it. And we are about to encounter that in Boki and up to Budukati Ranch. Mr. Speaker, I will summarize in a very short while, but I need to explain something to this House. That what is happening to us as a state is an injustice. We are now the sick man of Nigeria. No part of this country has been ceded to anybody before, but only Cross River State. And as such, the people of Bakassi and Cross River State is not happy. It has also come to Boki today. The reason why this is happening, you cannot find that pillar, is very simple, Mr. Speaker. It's because Cross River State has 50% of the reserve forest of Nigeria situated in Cross River State and most part in Boki local government. They took Bakassi Peninsula, the highest oil deposit in the entire country, and nobody said a word. Today, Cross River State is not an oil-producing state. We don't have any oil. The Supreme Court gave a judgment that we don't have access to the sea, but we have the Nigerian Navy based in Calabar, but we don't have one oil well in Cross River State. And now Boki local government are the one preserving the forest. We have virgin forest in Cross River State. 50% of the Nigerian forest reserve is in Cross River and Boki. The Cameroon government has come again to take that part of our reserve and even going to our treasure Obudukati Ranch. This same law is moving forward. I pray that one day it will not take these chambers because it's coming very close to all of us. Mr. Speaker, I will rest my case in this manner, but I pray that Nigeria State should rise because an evil to one is an evil to all. Thank you.
Please, I want to give opportunity to those who are upstairs because they are our own honorable.
Here, this is a very important and critical issue of national importance. To my dismay, is only presented today for deliberation in this floor of the House. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, there is nothing wrong in giving out opportunity for members to make their contribution to this motion. But I don't want us to overdo it in such a way that it will kill the purpose of the motion. This is very sensitive motion that tries to draw the attention of Nigeria not to be complacent any longer. We lost Bakassi because of Nigeria's complacency. Nigeria is big, is the giant of Africa. But remember, Roman Empire used to be the greatest empire in the world. It was not destroyed by the Romans themselves. It was not destroyed by outside invaders, but it was destroyed by the complacency of the Romans. If care is not taken, we kept quiet when Bakassi was taken on a platter of gold. Today, you are talking of a reasonable number of oil wells that we are about to lose. This is not even an agreement, but a resolution, a judgment of International Court of Justice as far back as 1913. But still Nigeria is playing with it. Sir, I suggest that we should suspend deliberation on this thing and immediately establish a strong ad hoc committee that can face the bull by its horns and address this issue once and for all in order to protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria. This is my position. Thank you so much.
Let's minimize.
For us is a very touching issue. I had the privilege of chairing the House Committee on Human Rights for 6 years, from 2007 and right into from the 6th to 7th Assembly. And this is one of the issues that came up before us, the issue of Bakassi and Cameroon. Mr. Speaker, I think having said all that we've said, this qualifies as a very basic breach of fundamental human rights of the people of Cross River State and Boki local government area. This constitutes a human rights emergency, if I may say so, because treaties can be reviewed. These people have lived here for many, many years and centuries. And you cannot force a treaty that was signed in 1913 by great-great-grandfathers whom we do not know, and we don't know what circumstances led to the signing of such an unreasonable treaty. How can you cede such an amount of territory? Were you under the influence? Were they under the influence? Was this under duress? So we have a right, we should take it to the Human Rights Council in Geneva. We have a Human Rights Council. These are issues that will go before any Human Rights Council to have both parties before it. And I believe that even the international courts will do us justice if we approach it from a human rights angle. Because you cannot force people to take actions against their wishes. It's against the basic principles of human rights. Thank you so much.
As an investigative, I want to thank you for your understanding. Our rule is that if it's an investigative motion, we should not debate it and water it down. There's a prayer in that motion that says an ad hoc committee should be set up. And some of the members, like Honorable Jaha, say they're powerful, constituted members, should be part of that committee so that we'll start the investigation. And the product of the investigation will help us know more about what transpired, as well as chart the way forward on what we need to do, both as Parliament and as well as a nation. So based on that, I don't think there is any amendment to this motion, and I'm going to put the question. Those who are in support of this motion say aye. Aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the investigative committee that will be ad hoc when constituted. We will start now to shortlist names from the affected areas, those with legal background, those who have the competence and the capacity to play a major role in getting this done, those who have foreign affairs knowledge, diplomatic intelligence that will help us get the exact information and propose the right way to move on this issue.